Hello and welcome to Nerds Amalgamated. I'm the professor and my co-hosts are Devi Boy and the DJ. How are you guys going?
Pretty good.
It's been great. Raining. Woohoo! It's raining.
Welcome to Australia. Flash flooding.
Yeah, the flash flooding's not so great. I mean,
Well,
I had to go a long way away from my radio exam this weekend, and I was told after the exam that I'd better leave right away or I wouldn't get home because the road would get cut.
Oh.
Luckily, the rain eased off and it didn't happen, but that would have been embarrassing.
I'd hate to be every single waterfront home user at this point.
Well, the beach doesn't tend to flood in just downpours like this. It only tends to flood in cyclones, but riverfront property does.
Oh, yeah. Remember the good old days when we all dreamed of owning riverfront homes, and then as the older we get, we realize how bad that idea was.
Just you, DJ. But anyway, what's our first topic for today, DJ?
So Warner Brothers and HBO have been getting some vicious feedback with their recent announcement. So you all remember the whole announcement the other day about how Wonder Woman is going to be streaming on HBO Max and cinemas at the same time.
Well, that's only because it's only coming out in cinemas in places where you won't get Rona.
Yeah. So as a result, the studio has decided they're going to do the same strategy to all of its other movies. And this is mind you, this is their 2021 catalog. So this includes The Matrix 4, Denis Villeneuve's Dune, In the Heights, The Sopranos prequel, The Many Saints of Newark, the new Suicide Squad movie, and a couple of other movies.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So I saw the trailer for What If. So could you explain that maybe a bit more?
Different company, but okay.
Oh, yes, DC Marvel. I was like, oh, yeah, superheroes. I know. I saw a new trailer for that. Oh, yeah. Ooh.
So, Warner Brothers has come out saying have come out saying this is a unique 1-year plan. This initiative isn't expected to continue into 2022 or beyond. This is just in case of the ongoing health crisis. This is a response to an ongoing health crisis.
Well, on the plus side, it is unlikely to go into 2022 because hopefully the vaccines will get rolled out. They're looking pretty promising.
Yeah, but we don't know the long-term effects though. So yeah, who knows? Maybe the people who get the vaccines might get superpowers. Be cool.
Yeah,
though.
unlikely.
Yeah. So Warner Brothers chair and CEO says, we're living in unprecedented times which call for creative solutions.
There's that line again, unprecedented times. I'm pretty sure it's precedented now. It's been going on for a year.
Including this new initiative for Warner Brothers Pictures Group. No one wants films back on the big screen more than we do. We know new content is the lifeblood of theatrical exhibition, but we have to balance this with the reality that most theaters in the US will likely operate at reduced capacities throughout 2021. With this unique 1-year plan, we can support our partners in exhibition with a steady pipeline of world-class films, which while also giving moviegoers who may not access to theaters or aren't quite ready to go back to the movies the chance to see our amazing 2021 films, she continued. We see it as a win-win for film lovers and exhibitionists, and we're extremely grateful to our filmmaking partners for working with us on this innovative response to these circumstances.
And now tell us why everyone's upset about it.
So they're upset about it because people are getting alienated by this. For example, talent agencies. They're spending time with litigators. Some started to angrily refer to them as former bros. And so for example, some are saying for the longest time, Warner Brothers has been known to be the best home for talent and have been a significant competitive advantage. With this move, they've alienated the very talent that have worked very hard to attract these.
But why are the talent upset? Why do they care?
They care because of the amount of money.
What amount of money? What's the deal with the money?
The deal with the money is it's not compensate. They're not compensated hard. They're not compensated. I was gonna say hard enough, but yeah, they're not compensated large enough, basically. So they said if a film flops, the second payday never comes. If a film is a hit, as in often the case with superheroes and other fantasy movies, the back-end pay can add up to the wheelbarrows full of cash. That money trickles down to Hollywood's financial ecosystem, to agents, lawyers, and managers, funding the mansions, the Porsches, and the 1,000 per person dinners, basically. So Christopher Nolan, for example, came out basically saying he's very, very angry about this.
Oh no, I'm very, very angry that I can't hear the voices in Christopher Nolan's movies.
It's funny you say that because a director has basically come out on Twitter basically saying that Christopher Nolan's movie, watching a Christopher Nolan movie with subtitles like watching an entirely different movie. But yeah, Nolan in the recent interview said this. Oh, I mean disbelief, especially with the way which they did it. There's such controversy around it because they didn't tell anyone. In 2021, they've got some of the top filmmakers in the world. They've got some of the biggest stars in the world who worked for years in some cases on these projects, very close to their hearts. That are meant to be big screen experiences. They're meant to be in the widest possible audience, and now they're being used as a loss leader for the streaming service, for a fledgling streaming service without any consultation. So
it's not like Tenet made any money.
I like how you're saying this, and you had what's his name come out with like a 3 to 4 hour long epic movie. What was the Irishman? Who was the director of that?
The Irishman.
Scorsese.
Yeah, Scorsese. Just like, it has to be online now, but I'm just gonna stuff you and make it 4 hours long.
So you can see. So there's a lot of controversy. It's very, 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 very messy. A real bait and switch. Yeah, it's sort of not how you treat filmmakers, stars, and people who these guys.
Is it a bait and switch though? Like, they're not doing what they said they would, but everyone knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, pretending that you don't know that they were going to have to do something weird this year, it's just lying.
And he goes on to say they deserve to be consulted and spoken to about what was going to happen to their work. I mean, he's got a point though. Like no one has been told. Like no one was told about this. Like not even the cinemas, to be precise. And Nolan was also saying that long term, I think all of the studios know that the movie theater experience will bounce back and be a very important part of the ecosystem long term. And he continues on saying some of the big industry's biggest filmmakers and important movie stars went to bed one night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out that they were working for the worst streaming service.
You're a bit full of yourself, mate.
And he also says Warner Brothers is the incredible machine for getting a filmmaker's work out there in the theaters and in home, and they're dismantling it as we speak. They don't even understand that they're losing it. The decision makes no economic sense, and making the casual Wall Street investor can see the difference between disruption and dysfunction.
What a nutcase.
Independent Cinema Alliance of in America has made a statement saying that they don't like this idea, saying unprecedented time calls for unprecedented measures.
Yeah, and this is the unprecedented measure, so get over it.
They said, what else did they say? They said, but let this be clear, it's essential to the success of the entire motion picture ecosystem, and the hybrid distribution models influenced by the pandemic properly reflect appropriate terms for movie theater owners. The ICA looks forward to collaborating with our partners in Hollywood on deliberate, innovative solutions that build a brighter future for a great industry. That's
Your great industry that evades taxes and underpays its workers?
Oh, and just yesterday, is it yesterday? Oh, just yesterday, Villeneuve decided to come out as well with a long-winded statement. His statement will be in the show notes as well. And what was his one? I forgot. Oh, I think I have it in my show notes. Hang on a second. Here we go. He says, in the beginning of the line, he says, I learned that the news of Warner Bros. Has decided to release Dune on HBO Max at the same time as our theatrical release, using prominent images for our movie to promote their streaming service. With this decision, AT&T has hijacked one of our most respectable and important studios of our film industry. There's absolutely no love for cinema, nor for the audience here. And at the end of it, he goes, I strongly believe that the future of cinema will be on the big screen, and no matter what any Wall Street delineates says, since the dawn of time, humans have deeply loved the communal storytelling experiences. Cinema on the big screen is more than a business. It's an art form that brings people together. Yeah, the standard line.
Yeah.
So, just as I have both a fiduciary and creative response to fulfill as the filmmaker, I call on AT&T to act swiftly with the same responsibility, respect, and regard to protect this vital cultural medium. The moviegoer experience is like no other. In this darkened theater films capture our history, educate us, fuel our imagination, lift and inspire our collective spirit. It's our legacy. Long live theatrical cinema.
I've heard enough rubbish now.
Although not everybody's angry about it. Gal Gadot, the star of Wonder Woman, is getting a lot of money out of this. She's getting paid $10 million. I repeat, $10 million.
Well, of course she's happy about it then.
Although she and the director Patty Jenkins is getting that money, all of it is as a result of negotiations between Gadot and Jenkins's lawyer and the studio. But what do you reckon about this move, though? In your opinion, like having film studios and streaming services releasing it at the same time?
I'm okay with it.
I'm fine with it.
Things are happening now, so might as well do it.
Bye, movie theaters. Bye. I don't care. Bye.
But okay, that being said, though, like, do you reckon that, like, the Nolan getting angry about it and now June's director getting angry about it, you reckon that their outrage is justified, though?
I get that they're not happy that it happened, and it doesn't seem like they were asked for input, but otherwise, nobody's making any money in the next, we're going to go 2 years without making any money in movies. And I know that the movie companies will manage to mess that up somehow with their Hollywood accounting, but, that's not good for anyone. So let it happen and get back to normal in a couple of years when things have settled down. Because I reckon it's going to take, at least a year for the vaccines to actually roll out and take effect.
My biggest fear is that are we going to see other streaming services do this, to take part with this one, like for example Disney Plus.
Well, Disney Plus isn't a good streaming service anyway. Nobody uses it.
Yeah. Oh, it's the same with HBO Max as well. Everyone hates them.
So of course there's a way to get get people into the streaming service, but still, you're not making any money from releasing in cinemas, so do it this way.
Yeah.
I don't get why they hate making money so much.
I think it's more, like, as I said earlier, it's more of the back end deals and stuff. It's more of the back end deals and how much advertising money they would get as well.
Does the director get advertising money?
They should, yeah.
Why would they? How are they advertising the movie?
So the usual like YouTube.
The director's going on YouTube and advertising the movie.
Well, look what happened with the DC fandom event. Some of the directors made their appearances to say, check out our new movie, The Batman. Check out the new movie, Wonder Woman, and like the
So
appearances
they're getting
on
speaking
conventions and
fees
stuff.
for going to conventions.
Yeah.
We should cancel all inventions. Inventions are dead. The movies are dead. Sit home and die.
The brand has spoken. Yeah, so I find it interesting. Like Netflix hasn't even said anything about this. Like,
Well, why would they? They're not involved at all.
they're not.
They
They're
didn't
not
get the
involved.
movies.
They're not involved at all. Yeah, but then they're part of the streaming war. They're part of the streaming wars, though, whether they like it or not. Like they're part of the streaming business, so they'll be watching it with a bit of unease and anticipation.
Yeah.
Oh, and also,
I don't think they'll be as worried as you think they are, though.
yeah. So, also interesting. If I just want before we end this one, they said here, Kalar, one of the Warner Brothers head honchos, basically said our content is extremely valuable unless it's sitting on a shelf, not being seen by anyone. We believe this approach serves our fans, supports exhibitionists and filmmakers, and enhances HBO Max, creating value for all.
Yeah, so here's the problem. Christopher Nolan's paid enough that he can afford to go 2 years without income. The extras and the cameramen can't. So if they don't release these movies this year and make no money, then there's just no point in keeping the industry going. The industry's going to have to shut down.
Let it die. Let it die and bring forth the new republic.
Oh, the irony of using movie references in a discussion about the death of the movie industry.
Yeah. Well, it is a sign that Hollywood is dying. Anyway.
Well, Hollywood's been losing to games in terms of market share not market share, but profits for years now. And it's going to be even worse this year because Hollywood's been completely shut down and games haven't.
Yeah.
So even though a lot of games won't have, a lot of sales will have been reduced because of the economic downturn, that's not going to make a difference for actually, for movies because nothing's happening in movies.
Yeah, that's true.
And look, I want to see Dune in cinemas as much as anyone else. But if this is the way things have to be, so be it.
Well, let's just hope that they don't do like what CD Projekt Red did a couple of months back, which was, it's delayed again! It's delayed again! It's delayed again!
I wouldn't be surprised. They've already delayed it so that they can release it in a time better for them. So, I don't know. Is it going to... can they delay it again now that they've got a deal for streaming?
Oh, unless if they do what is it, the HBO Max cut. And then a couple of years later, they'll be like, the Villeneuve cut.
Oh, please do not give them the idea that game developers have. Releasing specific versions of the game on specific consoles is wrong.
That's what I don't understand. Like, the other day I downloaded Deus Ex Human Revolution. And there's a director's cut. I'm like, what?
Well, director's cuts of games make sense. They tend to have all of the DLC in one place, have bugs fixed. It's basically another name for Game of the Year edition. But
okay.
the problem is, games on particular consoles come with levels that aren't released in other consoles, which is what's wrong with the system.
Professor, you shouldn't start talking about director's cuts when there's Blade Runner hanging over your head. Just saying hello.
Yeah.
How many copies have we released of Blade Runner? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The final cut.
Yeah, that happens.
What was it? Let's not forget Lord of the Rings.
There's only one extended edition of that. Everything else has just been remasters up to 4K and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. True. But yeah, back to the
the extended edition is the way to watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Okay, but back to the movies. So, can you actually see Dune
Lord of the Rings
they
is
do?
movies.
What's up?
Lord of the Rings is movies. We can't go back to the movies if we're already talking about movies.
We were talking about games earlier on before we get to the movies. But
And
okay,
Lord of the Rings is movies.
Okay. Could you actually see Villeneuve do that though? Like, there's the HBO Max edition. Now there is the Villeneuve edition of Dune.
I have no idea. I don't know what he's like as a person.
Yeah, that's true. True. My biggest fear when it comes to all these will be like, oh yes, in order to see all these new Warner Brothers movies, you have to pay extra. Extra, I tells you.
That's what Disney already tried, and it was a flop.
Yeah.
Like for other reasons, because Mulan sucked. But hopefully they think that it's because the system sucks and not because Mulan sucks.
Well, I just hope I just hope HBO Max Hollywood does the Cyberpunk edition model to delay it and to make it better.
Yeah, we'll also have to see. Like Hollywood's trying to farm money, but you know what else does farming? Fish. So, in the first instance of a non-human vertebrate domesticating another animal, damselfish off Belize in Central America are farming algae with crustaceans to tend it. So, it's only seen in some particular fish at the moment. Others eat the damselfish, but eat the shrimps. So they're mysid shrimps and the longfin damselfish have formed a relationship. The damselfish will protect the shrimp from other fish. So they're prawns, not shrimp. No, I think in this case it is actually shrimp, but yes. So it's possible that the one theory that they're working on is that this particular case is related to fertilizing the algae using mysid shrimp waste. But, I reckon it's only a few years until they have the mysid shrimp actually farming it and, plowing, picking the algae. No, I don't actually, but that would be pretty exciting to find in another animal. Ants actually, ants are a farming species. Some of them farm aphids, but those are invertebrate species. So the damselfish is the first vertebrate species.
So are we gonna get like a new nursery rhymes with all McDamselfish had a farm?
What kind of to make McDamselfish happen?
No nursery rhyme shall destroy our good feelings and minds today.
Although it does make you wonder though, like if the damselfish could do this at this location, could you imagine them doing this in the Great Barrier Reef?
Yeah, well, this is already a smaller reef, but it is a reef. So there's no reason damselfish on the Great Barrier Reef couldn't develop to do this, except that the Belize fish seem to be in the early stages of developing domestication. So this is sort of as it happens investigation. Scientists have a chance to actually learn how domestication occurs.
The fun part's going to be like, what's the next step going to be?
Fish taking over the world.
There's a manga where that happens.
Oh, really?
It's
I
a
wouldn't
horror.
be surprised. There's a manga for everything.
It's a horror manga by Intro. Oh my god, I am terrible at this. I'm so sorry. Jinto Inso. Flip. Someone say that better than me.
Jinto Ito.
Junji Ito. Is that different to Junji Ito?
Oh no, it's Junji Ito. Sorry, I spelled it wrong. There you go.
Yeah, Junji Ito.
Junji Ito.
Okay, I didn't know he'd done that. I've read some of his stuff.
Let me find the image. Oh, here we go. Lovely.
Like Gaio? Oh, so the Enigma of Amigara Fault was actually a bonus story included with Gaio? I mean, Enigma's the only one that ever gets posted on Reddit.
Yeah, can you imagine Tesla going, okay, we're going to make this cool new exercise in fish farming.
Tesla, did you say?
Yes.
What
Tesla.
does Tesla have to do with fish farming?
They're
a car company.
Yeah, but they're also a space company as well.
Space fish. Well, I don't know. Maybe fish are going to be better at colonizing Saturn than we are.
Oh, that'll be fun. Then future civilizations will go, we dare not go to Saturn. Why? It will never. You just don't want to know, son. You don't want to know. We made a big mistake back in the day.
Well, I was swimming in a creek a few weeks ago, and these little fish kept coming up and trying to nibble me. So, I don't know. Being eaten by a fish probably isn't as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, there are some fish. There are some fish in Asian countries that does that cleans your body. Like I think they're in I think in certain spas they do that too. I need to find that out.
Yeah. The problem is when you do it in a spa where 100 people have been through that day, there's no way to sterilize the fish between customers.
Yeah, there they are. The barefoot. There they are. The relaxing spa fish. That's the one.
So I wonder how, apparently normally damselfish chase off anything that comes onto their farms, because damselfish farm algae to begin with. But somehow they've come up with working with these mysids. I have no idea why. I have no idea how. I just know it's happened.
Although the problem we might have to encounter is whether these fish will survive with climate change and whatnot.
Yeah, that's a good question, because reefs already aren't doing well.
Yeah.
Algae doesn't do too well in hot environments, depending on the species. The reason coral reefs bleach is actually that the polyps release their algae. They have a symbiotic relationship with algae. And when things get too stressful, they just spew it out. So hopefully they survive, because it would be tragic to see this sort of relationship and not be able to study it.
Yeah.
But what's up next, Devi boy?
Hi guys, have you heard of a game called Cyberpunk?
No, I haven't. Is this some indie darling?
Oh, dude, it is the biggest indie darling of the last 8 years. Truly is a remarkable game. How have you never known? It has such a great deal of hype.
Yeah, it had. I recall there was some famous actor. Starts with a K, ends with an
Kelly Clarkson?
S.
Or is she a singer?
What?
Kelly Clarkson.
Nah, yeah, singer. Starts with an S.
There's a lot of overlap between singers and actors, though. She was on American Idol, which is a TV show, so that basically makes her an actor. So I was still correct.
Yeah, Davey boy. There was a time. Yeah, that was such a hyped up. That was a hyped up. Such a hyped up game.
Yeah. I love the delay memes.
Well, guys, guess what? It's just released, and it's definitely been a fun time to see the Project Red. So, the reviews came in, and the game was overall pretty positive, but it's definitely had some rocky launch, to say so.
Well, not financially.
Well, financially, no. Financially,
I've just seen an article here. They've already made back their money 4 days later.
Yeah, financially, 100%. But in terms of reviews and actual gameplay, it's performance and stuff. Of course, you had the thing a week ago. You had the epilepsy issue. A specific point in the game where it tried to create an epileptic shock. But
I don't know if that was accidental or not.
Yeah, no one really knows about that one. So they've patched that out at least.
That's good.
Not patched out. I think they've just added a setting or something.
So your character puts on a headset that happens to flash patterns very similar to the ones that they use to diagnose epilepsy.
Hi, Pokemon Polygon episode.
Yeah, I went and looked that episode up after I heard that, and wow, that was hard to watch. I'm not epileptic, and that still hurt my eyes.
I want to say this though, the storm that came out of Cyberpunk has been amazing. GameSpot, is a game. I get confused. Is it GameSpot or GameStop?
Anyways,
GameStop is a failing retail company. GameSpot is a website.
Yeah. you were saying, Debbie boy?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the main storm has been that, you can't technically play the game on PS4. It's not terribly good.
Look, you can play the game. You're just not going to get any FPS at all.
You can play the game, but do you really want to play the game?
I mean, yes, but I'd play it on my PC because I don't own a PlayStation, so...
Yeah, because you have all the money, you little console flip.
Hey! If it makes you feel any better, guys, I even bought the collector's edition on PC.
Oh shit! So what's the collector's edition get you on PC?
How do you even get it in the door?
It's not that big. It's knee high.
That's still pretty big for a game box, considering these days games are literally just pieces of card with a serial number on it.
Oh, you're talking about Fallout 76, that kind of thing?
No, lots of games in online stores release a just release a code instead of putting a CD in the box.
Yeah. But yeah, not many people liked the game on console. They were just like, the frame rates and stuff, it was just laggy.
Yeah, it's definitely not doing well on current gen consoles. I hear the new gen are doing better.
Yeah, new gen are betterish, but they're not technically released for those yet because you can get it through upgrading from buying a PS4 version, but still, it works fine, but it's still nothing compared to what is on PC.
And they should have released stuff on the new stuff first, then spent the next few months optimizing for the old ones.
Yes, 100%. But they didn't do that because rush. Out of time, boys. We gotta out of time and out of people's attentions.
Yeah.
We got this game out the door, but no one allowed us to have more time on product. So
we couldn't possibly delay this game that's already been delayed for 2 years.
At least Siege Project Red just announced that they're changing their contract rules to give everyone their bonuses.
They bloody better after saying they won't use crunch and then using it for months.
Yes, so they've done that, which is good.
I've seen one YouTuber. He says he may have found a way to deal with the performance issues with if it's on the Titan RTX.
Yeah,
I've seen some people have managed to figure out how to solve the performance issues. But
you can do it with enough power. But you can do anything with enough power. Maybe we'll just have to wait for the Cyberpunk Quantum Computer Edition.
Here's a question though: is this the next Crisis game?
No, because Crisis just came out with the next Crisis game, the first one with all the graphics updated.
Yeah, but is it playable enough to melt your computer though?
Yeah, it has a can it run Crisis mode, which completely turns off all of the limits.
But the storm that's been had with Cyberpunk, that's been insane. I mean, what was it? The old one was GameStop with the reviewers. Oh, that was funny. Have you guys seen that video?
No, I haven't. What's the deal with the reviewers?
So one reviewer basically said, "I have not played the game, but I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10."
No, that's not how this works.
Oh my god, seriously?
Why?
Hang on a second. Let me find the review. It was and the like to dislike ratio for that review, it was just funny.
I'd hope so. I hope everyone would dislike it because that's rubbish.
What was it? It's 5.4k likes and 34k dislikes.
I mean, but speaking of likes and dislike stuff, so that the Metacritic score for the PS4 and Xbox versions have dropped to roughly, I think Xbox, I'll just say roughly out of medium, it's around about a 2.
Oh,
yeah, that's brutal.
While the PC version user scores dropped to 66 out of 10.
Oh,
because of bugs and such things. Likewise, on Steam, it's also been dropping slowly over the last couple of days into mostly positive, and slowly dropping into mixed.
Yeah.
What's the Metacritic? What's the critic scores for the game? I mean, the fan game would be totally different to the critic score for the
game. Yeah, the critic score's 90 out of 100.
Really? No way.
Yeah, I have no idea how gamers and critics are so out of touch from each other.
Right? I don't know. Yeah, the Metacritic score's 90, the user score's 6.8, and then I'll try and find where's the console version? Go get the correct scores. We're journalists here. PS4 version is 2.8, and then the Xbox One version is 3.7.
Yeah, it's not doing well then.
No, and likewise, even reviewers of the Xbox One version, like actual game reviewers, say it's a 3.5 and a 68, and for the PS4 version. I likewise put it at 60 and 35, and basically there's 2 other publishers that haven't given it scores basically like, just don't buy it.
Yeah, I reckon this will be one to wait for the patches.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of the reviews for this. This is from one of the users who reviewed. They're saying here the degree of disconnect between the critics and the gamers is astonishing. I blame this on the cancel culture that permeates every single social interaction nowadays. Critics are simply afraid of being honest about giving a disparaging review for fear of losing their jobs. The
Not
irony
only
is
that, but idiots will send them death threats.
Yeah, the irony is that gamers are to blame for this. If they disagree with the review, they react too harshly against the critic, and this in turn makes the critic undesirable for the company they work for. Their purpose is to be popular amongst gamers in order to stay relevant and in business. Let's end this cancel culture. Let's be tolerant about this, about people's opinions, and that way everybody wins.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem with a lot of industries at the moment. You can't, do it. You got to. I wouldn't normally say this, but reviews are very political these days.
Oh yeah,
especially with stuff like you might remember Fallout New Vegas came 1 point off getting the bonus for getting a particular score on Metacritic. Like even that's going to politicize things once that comes out.
Yeah, not wrong.
You were going to say something, Brad? David Boy?
No. I mean, have reviews always been political? Because it's always someone's personal opinion. Like, was there a time they weren't?
Well, yeah, they're an opinion. It's very hard to be an objective reviewer, if at all.
Yeah. Okay, the fun of reviewing. And that's why I trust user reviews more than actual critic reviews. But yeah.
Much like how release day is already more testing than you will ever get in in your QA lab.
True, yeah.
Release day also gives you the best idea of what a game's like because there's so many people reviewing it all at once. But then there's also a few reviewers that I follow who I know have similar tastes to me. And I think that's a big part of what you need to do to get accurate reviews.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing, isn't it? Because it's all just such a balancing act.
Yeah,
So,
like, you don't want to be in an echo chamber because then you'll miss some great things. But you also don't want to have to... you don't want to be following a reviewer who doesn't suit you, or you won't find games that you like at all.
Exactly. So you got to ride the line.
Yeah. And the problem is, though, the line, not many people know where the line is, or in some cases, the line is too blurry.
Yeah, that's what makes it hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a mess to do.
Personally, I just followed. If you want to follow I just follow the principle: respect your audience. Just respect your audience. If you do that, then you win fans immediately.
That does solve a lot of problems. But on to our next topic. Devi Boy, when you play a game and you push the control stick forwards, which way does your head go?
Which way your head goes?
The character's head, like in a first-person game.
Oh, okay. I mean, I push my own head forward. In a first-person game, does it even move? Because the camera's usually just still. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of bobbing that goes downwards and up.
The view control. Sorry, the view control stick. When you use that, which way does your character's head go?
Down.
Okay, so we're all regular players here, but some people do it the other way around and call themselves inverted gamers.
Yes, and I wish those people would die in a hole and be caught on fire, and then I'll light that fire with TNT. Thanks, Zelda, for making that the default option.
Which Zelda game did that?
Wind Waker.
Okay. Yeah, so sometimes I think on balance, most games are called inverted pulling back to look down. It's complicated to describe, but yeah, I think most games do it one way and call inverted the other way. Some games do it the other way around for some reason.
Can we have one standardized format, please? Like, why do you want to switch those around?
Well,
why?
I'm happy with people changing it because you got to pick the control scheme that works for you. Most games, the control scheme isn't an integral part of the experience.
But Professor, this is my question. How does it make sense? Pushing down goes up. Okay, Flight Simulator, different story, but
Yeah.
If I use my motor skills and I want to move my head, I told my motor skills to move down. My head moves down. Does it move upwards? Ah!
Yes, there's reason why it's such a big debate.
Anyways,
Yeah, so some gamers reckon it comes over from flight simulators, because in a flight sim you pull back on the stick and look up.
I'm not thinking the same thing. It makes sense coming from that area.
Yeah. So Dr. Jennifer Corbett at Brunel University in London, she's a co-head of the Visual Perception and Attention Lab, is actually going to do a study into it. So it's not something they normally do, but because their regular experiments are delayed due to COVID, they are taking an opportunity to do this as an online experiment. And they're going to try to work out what the difference is.
Interesting to see the results, hey?
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to find, though? Are they going to find, like, the performance differences between inverted and non-inverted, or are they going to...
Maybe they'll find out that people who use inverted have a better... Like, one theory they have is that it's a better visual mapping of what they're doing, of their body. So maybe it's more along the lines of a inverted player is better at visualizing stuff. A regular player might be more literal. So, maybe it's left brain, right brain. But it also points out that control schemes are really standardized for some reason. The first games that use particular control schemes sort of set the field for everyone that follows. You won't find a single FPS game that doesn't use the standard twin stick format now. And that's been the case since, I think it was one of the old Alien games, was the first game to actually use the modern twin stick FPS control.
You mean like Call of Duty? Those kinds?
Yeah. So, and there's a reason games follow it, because you don't want friction getting into your game. You want your players to be able to pick up and play, literally, because the more friction there is getting into the game, the less likely they are to keep playing.
Yeah, but the problem with like FPS shooters, for example, is you have to as soon as you start immediately playing it, you kind of be like, oh yeah, this is cool. But like for example, with me when I played Apex Legends, for example, I thought initially like, yeah, this is cool, I can pick it up and stuff, but I struggled so hard, and then
because you suck at the game.
Oh, that too, yeah.
That's got nothing to do with my point.
Yeah, but
the point is that people won't give your game a go if it's hard to get into.
No, it's not only that though. It's also like you have to modify a lot just to fit your needs, kind of thing. Like you have to change controllers, you have to change the field of view, that kind of.
Yeah, that's the great thing about PC. You can tweak it to suit you. Same with inverting your controls. Maybe inverted feels better to you. So you can choose and you can make the game work the way you want it to. Because for the most part, the interface with the game isn't part of the experience. It's just something that you have and you have to deal with to interact with the game. But then you get games that do experimental control systems, and some of them are great. Fruit Ninja, there weren't a lot of games that, at the time Fruit Ninja came out, that really took advantage of being able to swipe on a touchscreen. And that's an innovative control scheme that wouldn't have worked on a regular console. Nintendo is always trying to do different things with their consoles. The Wii, every Nintendo controller is different because they're always innovating. Not like the PlayStation controller, which has been the same ever since the PlayStation 1.
Remember how the PlayStation tried to be innovative with the, was it the iToy?
Yeah, and that flopped, maybe because you need to buy another piece of hardware. You need a decently sized room for it. And the tracking wasn't as good as you'd get with later gen. So the later gen tracking had those wands. And same deal for most VR headsets these days.
Can you imagine if VR was to adopt the inversion controllers?
No, because VR is a direct mapping of your view to your face. The only way you'd get inverted controls in VR is if there was something very wrong with your eyes. Like if you tilt your head back and your eyes roll around wildly. I don't think the regular human would have any kind of from a game any kind of inversion. But there are different models of VR movement. We're still learning about what works in VR and what doesn't. For some people, walking in VR is fine. For other people, Not a chance. They need to teleport, or their eyes will not match up with what they're seeing, their inner ear system, and they will get motion sickness.
From a game developer's point of view, is this sort of is this problem like a balancing act in a sense?
No, you just put in a control to let people invert their controls, and that's it. For accessibility, it's the thing to do. It's responsible.
Yeah, but I think I might have asked this question already, but why do inverted players get so much hate though?
I don't know. It's just a thing that happens.
They can die in a hole. And I find the hate because you start a game as inverted and you're like, oh my god, what psychopath did this? Flips it, goes to settings, flips it around. It's more of a grudge, I think.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like whenever I start a game, it's just like, why are the controls inverted? Who does this? And then flip them back. It's like, I think that's where the hate comes from.
There's some debate about which should be default. But anyway, what did you play this week, DJ?
I've been playing AOD, The Art of Defense. And it's basically a tower defense game, basically.
Is it good?
It's not that bad, but it's just like a mobile type game. I'll put it up on. All right.
Okay. Well, is there anything special about it?
It's not really. It's the special part about it is basically you have to defeat wave by wave, and you can.
That's just regular tower defense.
Yeah, with microtransactions and all, but yeah, it's fun to play. Like seeing all the cars get blown up and stuff, and trying to figure out strategies on how to weed out the pack. And you can also upgrade your weapons and bases and whatnot. So it's fun. It's fun. Okay. The downside is the downside to this game is most some of the weapons they take a long time to load up. So yeah. And the microtransactions. Oh, good God, the microtransactions are annoying.
Okay, so we'll give it a 0 out of 5 then?
3 out of 5. I mean, it's fun to play. Like, it's fun to play when you don't require too much thinking. But yeah, it's the microtransactions. It's just, yeah.
Okay. So what do you rate it?
I'll just rate it I'm rating it 3 out of 5. That's my rating.
What about you, Devi?
Nothing really. It's been a pretty meh week, just fixing work. I know, not that exciting, hey?
Mm-hmm.
How
What
about
about you, Professor? Have you been doing anything?
I was playing Noita.
Oh,
again,
what's that?
Which, it's the Falling Sand magic game I was telling you about.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's still good. I'm really enjoying it still. And the combos of things are really interesting. So, there's a lot to learn about the ways different skills interact and what you should take for a certain run.
Have you found any more bugs in that game, or just same old story?
No, I haven't found any bugs. I'd give it 4 out of 5.
Cool.
It's got a lot of content, and I'm not close to finishing it, so got a lot to go there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll have a quick ad, then come back with our events of interest. All right, it was shout-outs first, actually, but doesn't matter. So, on the 7th of December, Chuck Yeager passed away at 97. Chuck Yeager was a test pilot with the right stuff. He was the first person to break the sound barrier. He joined the US Army Air Corps in 1941. His first plane ride made him throw up. He was passed over for the US space program because he never went to college. But it was upset to not become an astronaut. He considered them passengers throwing the right switches. Sorry, he was not upset to not become an astronaut because he considered them passengers throwing the right switches on instructions from the ground. He was 24 years old, testing a dozen planes a week when he first broke the sound barrier in a Bell X-1. He had broken 2 ribs a few days before, but didn't tell his superiors for fear of being grounded. Because of the pain, he had to use a broomstick to close the cockpit before takeoff.
That is awesome.
Yes, and nobody knew whether the plane or the pilot would actually be able to handle going past the sound barrier. One of the weird things about breaking the sound barrier is that the controls invert.
Oh, Chuck.
Yeah, so going really fast causes weird stuff to happen with aerodynamics. And as I understand it, the controls basically invert, and you have to reverse your inputs to keep flying.
I hope someday they'll not invert them. I hope someday they'll do that. But one can only hope.
You idiot. Actually, I might be wrong. I'm just pulled up a link about it. No, you don't need to do that. That's a lie. There is no reversal of the controls above the sound barrier. I mean, there is a certain high speeds, but not just crossing the sound barrier like Chuck Yeager did. So, yeah, that's just a movie invention. Oh, damn, I've been lied to.
Wait, so I was right?
Well, the controls don't invert. So, on the 8th of December, we had the 40th anniversary of John Lennon's murder on December 8th, 1980 by Mark David Chapman.
That was a very sad day.
Yeah, and what's weird is that apparently Mark Chapman was going to kill both David Bowie and John Lennon, but he only got to John Lennon before he got caught. I understand, well, it might not have been both, it was either or, depending on whichever he got to first. On the 9th of December, sorry?
I was gonna say, imagine if Chapman took down David Bowie instead of John Lennon. I wonder how music would have been like now.
Yeah, it would have been very different because David Bowie was in his peak at the time, but a lot of his best stuff came after that. So on the 9th of December 2020, a 90-year-old woman in the UK became the first patient in the world to receive the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine after its approval in the UK. Her name was Margaret Keenan, and she received the injection at 6:31 a.m. in Coventry. The vaccination project is the largest in the NHS's 73-year history. The second person was William Shakespeare.
Really?
Yeah, not the William Shakespeare, but same name.
Imagine if William Shakespeare got the vaccination. All of a sudden, he starts saying like, "Yes, I can write magnificent plays now."
That would be rather weird. For our remembrances, on the 10th of December 1896, we have Alfred Nobel. Alfred Bernhard Nobel, a Swedish chemist, engineer, inventor, businessman, and philanthropist with 355 different patents, including dynamite. After inventing dynamite, his company, Bofors, pivoted from an iron and steel producer to a producer of weaponry. The element nobelium was named after him. In 1888, his brother died visiting Cannes, and the newspaper accidentally published Alfred's obituary. They condemned him for inventing military explosives, which is believed to have brought about his decision to change his legacy after his death. The obituary stated, "The merchant of death is dead," and on the 27th of November 1895, Nobel signed his will, which set aside the bulk of his estate for the Nobel Prize. He died from a stroke at 63 in San Remo. On the 10th of December 1920, we have Horace Elgin Dodge. Horace was a co-founder of the Dodge Brothers Company. Horace was the mechanical side, his brother was the business side. He invented the first dirt-proof ball bearing. In 1897, he arranged a deal with a third party to manufacture bicycles. After several years working with other car companies on various projects, and John Dodge working as vice president of the Ford Company, they terminated their contract and began building the Dodge automobile. Horace died at 52 in Palm Beach, Florida. On the 10th of December 1922, Clement Lindley Wragg, who was a meteorologist born in Stourbridge, Worcestershire, England, but moved to Oakham, Staffordshire as a child. He set up the Wragg Museum in Stafford following a trip around the world. Wragg trained in law but became a meteorologist, including winning and won the Scottish Meteorological Society's gold medal, and began the trend of using people's names for cyclones. In 1884, he moved to Adelaide, Australia, and set up a private observatory, where he was then commissioned by the government to work on a meteorological organisation for Queensland. His original idea was to name the cyclones after the Greek alphabet, but later used the names of figures from Polynesian mythology and politicians. After his retirement, the practice would end for 60 years, but he named them after James Drake, Edmund Barton, and Alfred Deakin. He died at 70 in Auckland.
Can you imagine Cyclone Trump?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's so many cyclones a year, they would have run out of politicians eventually. For our famous birthdays, on the 10th of December 1588, we have Isaac Beeckman, a Dutch philosopher and scientist who virtually gave birth to modern atomism. Atomism sounds like what the children of Atom believe in Fallout. He was also a friend with René Descartes, where they met in... Sorry?
It's Descartes.
Okay, Descartes.
Yeah.
Although they fell out in 1629 over a dispute about whether Beeckman had helped Descartes with his mathematical discoveries. They did remain in contact for the next 7 years until Beeckman died. So, independently, Beeckman developed the concept that matter is composed of atoms. He is one of the first people who described inertia correctly, but he assumed that a constant circular velocity is conserved. He also showed that the fundamental frequency of a vibrating string is proportional to the reciprocal of the length of the string, and in the analysis of a pump, he theorized correctly that air pressure is the cause, and not the popular theory of horror vacui. I have no idea what that is. It's, fear of empty space, which nature abhors a vacuum. So I suppose the idea is that by creating a vacuum in the pump, stuff will go in. But the reason that happens is because of the air pressure on the outside pushing it in. It's not that it would just go into the vacuum if there wasn't anything pushing it.
Yeah. And I like how it says horror vacui reflects Aristotle's idea that nature abhors an empty space.
Yeah.
Sounds like one of those horror movie titles.
In an empty space, no one can hear you scream. He was born in Middleburg on the 10th of December 1751. George Shaw. George Kearsley Shaw, an English botanist and zoologist, co-founded the Linnaean Society in 1788 and became a Fellow of the Royal Society in 1789. He published one of the first English descriptions with scientific names of Australian animals in Zoology of New Holland. Yeah, so Australia was first discovered by white people by the Dutch, because, the Aboriginal people lived here for ages. But, I wonder how it would have turned out if Australia had been settled by the Dutch instead of the English.
Oh, history would have changed significantly.
Yes, it probably would. So George was one of the first to examine a platypus and published the first scientific description in the Naturalist Miscellany in 1799. The botanical author abbreviation G. Shaw is applied to species he discovered. He was born in Bearton, Buckinghamshire. And on the 10th of December 1851, Ada Lovelace. Augusta Ada King, Countess of Lovelace, was an English mathematician and writer, known for her work on the Babbage machine, the analytical engine. So she is possibly the first to recognize that the machine had applications beyond pure calculation, and published the first algorithm for the machine.
Ooh.
Yeah, so as I understand it, Babbage designed the machine and wrote some simple programs, but it was just for calculating things. Then Ada Lovelace came and expanded on it. But other historians believe that Babbage's notes show that he came up with the first programs. Yeah, so a bit of a debate there. I suppose they really were doing different things with it. But she was also known for asking questions about how individuals and society relate to technology as a collaborative tool. She was born in London. That's a really interesting question about how society uses technology. On the 9th of December 1868, the first traffic lights are installed outside the Palace of Westminster. Resembling some railway signs, they use semaphore arms and are illuminated at night by red and green gas lamps. So today the spot they are installed is occupied by Winston Churchill's statue. In the months before its installation, 2 MPs have been badly injured and a traffic policeman killed on the spot.
Oh.
Yeah. A policeman still operated them, but they were more visible.
Can you imagine they use this technology now? Like, instead of, imagine if they go like, okay, we're going to use gas from now on, and all traffic lights will be using is semaphore.
Yeah, that would be rather weird.
Where's the yellow?
In January 18... Well, I think the lights are better because they're more reliable. Less moving parts.
Yep.
In 1869, a gas leak caused an explosion, badly burning the face of the police operator, and lights did not return to the capital until 1926, when manually operated electric lights were installed in Piccadilly. On the 10th of December 1948, the Human Rights Convention was signed by the United Nations. It was signed by 48 who voted in favour, none against, 8 abstained, and Honduras and Yemen failed to vote or abstain. Eleanor Roosevelt is credited with being instrumental in mustering support for the adoption, both in the US and around the world. The main point of contention, according to Eleanor Roosevelt's notes, was Article 13, the right for citizens to leave their countries. The majority of UN states gained sovereignty and joined the organization later. On the 10th of December 1968, Japan's biggest heist, the unsolved 300 million yen robbery, was carried out in Tokyo. On the morning of December 10th, 4 Kokubunji branch employees of the Nihon Shintaku Ginko transported a bit less than 300 million yen, so it's a bit of a lie there, in the trunk of a company car. The metal boxes contained bonuses for the employees of Toshiba's Fuchu factory. They were stopped next to the Fuchu prison by a young uniformed officer on a police motorcycle who informed that the branch manager's house had been blown up and warned that dynamite had been placed in the transport car. The employees exited the vehicle while an officer crawled out under. Moments later, smoke and flames came out of the car, and the officer rolled out, shouting that it was about to explode. While the employees ran away, the police officer stole the car and drove away. As of 1988, both civil and criminal statutes of limitations expired, allowing the criminal to tell his story without legal repercussions. He is yet to come forward.
How gullible do you have to be, though?
Well, there was flames and stuff, so, I'd believe it. On the 10th of December 1986, the movie Kamikaze premiered in Japan. Too much Japan. Premiered in France. Kamikaze is a Japanese thing, so,
Yeah.
A mad scientist invents a system which allows him to reach through the airwaves and transform television cameras into weapons to kill whoever is being filmed. But that's all we have for today. Where can they find us, DJ?
They could find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They can also find us on that'snotcanon.com, where we have an archive of our old episodes, and they can also find new podcasts there too. Such
Who's
as
our TNC shout out for this week?
Our TNC shout out for this week is Black Magic Woman. It's a podcast about uplifting conversational type style program featuring mainly First Nations people from Australia and around the world.
Debbie, we can hear you typing.
We can hear you typing. Your keyboards are too loud.
I'm so sorry, my power.
Yeah, so what was that one called, DJ?
Black Magic Woman. So basically a podcast featuring having conversations to highlight the diversity amongst First Nations people and the resilience of her people. So yeah.
Okay, so that's all we have for this week. We'll see you next time.
Take care of each other, stay hydrated, and hooroo.
Don't turn inverted controls on, and I'll see you guys next week.